Today we'll be going through a step-by-step process of how to install your spider net that you ordered from us here at Dock Company. Alrighty, our first step for installing the spider net is putting up your eye bolts. As you can see, I'll send you a bunch of eye bolts in the package here when you get it from us, and they're going to go on the outside facing of all of your poles on your dock. Obviously, circumstances depending, but what you're going to do is you're just going to put these at a decent height below your nearest purlin. So you don't want it too high. Obviously, your cable's not going to be able to go under it. So like right here, we've got it just about as high as you can possibly get it, and the cable's almost touching the purlin. But you'll throw these on every change of elevation on your dock, just to make sure that your shade is angled up correctly. So like on this dock, we've got one here at the bottom, obviously, and then we've got one at the top over there as it peaks out in the middle. Installation on these is pretty simple. You're just going to need a 1/4 inch drill bit and the eye bolt that we send you. It's nice if you either have a screwdriver or another eye bolt along with a pair of pliers to tighten these up on the back side. So pretty much all you do is you put the hole all the way through, get the nut and the washer off of this, slide it through, put it on, and tighten it up. Putting something through this eye bolt is the easiest way to tighten this, and then just have a wrench on the other side as you tighten it up, and you'll be good to go. You'll just follow the same installation step on every pole you've got. Alrighty, the second step you're going to be doing to put up your spider net is your cable. Once you get your cable out of your box and everything, get it out and get all your eye bolts up, you can go ahead and attach the cable to one side of your puller and then string it on the outside of your poles all the way around until you get back over here. It's a pretty simple process. It can take a little while, but just make sure that you're not going through any obstructions. If you have anything that's like at a different height on your dock, you want to make sure that your cable goes above all of that, and so it can all sit lightly right against the top of your roof. The third step to installing your spider net will be installing your cable puller and the clamps that go along with it. When you get it in the box, your cable puller will be together like this. All you'll want to do is you can grab onto both sides and then just use your fingers to completely undo these. So you'll want to make it as long as you possibly can so you can get as much slack out of your net as possible. All right. So once you have that near the ends, you'll loop one side of your cable that you've put on the outside all the way around, and then get it a respectable distance back. At this point, on one side, don't pull too terribly tight on it, but you'll just want to get it through, and then you'll want to attach your cable clamps on there. So when attaching your cable clamps, the bolt part itself will go on the part of the cable that's continuous. It won't go on the small side. So you'll put it through, and then the clamp side itself will go on the side of the cable that you've cut to length. All right, you'll do the first one, and then the second cable clamp should be about the exact same distance as it is from the first one to the knuckle here of your puller. So once you have those on there, you can either use a drill with, I believe these are 11 millimeter bits to tighten these down, or you can do it hand by hand with a pair of pliers. Little trick on these is don't do one side all the way. Do it until it gets tight, and then do the other side back and forth until you're all the way. Once you have this done on one side, you'll put your other side through and pull it as tight as you possibly can with your hands, and then attach those on. Once those are both on, the easiest way to tighten these is to grab both ends, and then like I showed you earlier, you'll just twist one and then the other, letting go and grabbing until this is tight again. So depending on how well you hand tighten, you may not have to get this all the way back to touching, but you'll just want to get it until it's as tight as you're comfortable getting on your dock. This will help keep the spider net tight and keep everything the way it needs to be. The last step on your installation process will be putting on your cable ties. as you're going around, the easiest way that we found to do it, if you're over an expanse of water like this happens to be a deck, but you're putting it over your boat slip, the easiest way is to put all of your carabiner or all of your cable ties on loosely on one end, and then slide them all the way across and do them all at once, instead of having to put something across the back of your boat slip and get up and do them individually. Once you have your back on and your back finished up, I would go down one side super loose, just barely click them on, and then when you get to your other end, you can do the entire other front, and then once you have that on, you can do your other side lightly as well. Once you have all the way around on pretty lightly, you can go back through, and this is kind of what takes a little while, but you have to go back through and you tighten each side individually. I would go like 4 or 5 to how many finger lifts? Same finger lengths is a good way to do it, and then go to the other side and do it, and whatever gets it to look good and tight. You don't want it to be too terribly tight, just to put strain where you don't need it, but you want it to look good, obviously. So once you have it tightened up the way it should be on one side and then the other, you can kind of just go and do the exact same length all the way down to the end of your dock. And once you get everything tightened up and cut off, you're good to go.